Here's your Tustin area homeowners report for the 92780 zip code going into November of 2021. 3 things that you need to know if you're a homeowner in the 92780 zip code. Let's get right into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few different things right now. We're going to talk about price data. It's important to kind of keep up on what's going on there. We're going to talk about sales data, a little bit different information. Give you some perspective on some things, and then I'm going to get into some predictions. After 25 years of doing this, I kind of have a little bit of a grasp on what's happening in the real estate space. So let's jump right into it. So let's talk about price data real quick. Now this particular video is specifically for houses in the 92780 zip code. It does not include condos. I have a separate report for that. If you want to get a report for your specific area, maybe your neighborhood or whatever, that's fine. Just reach out to me, call the number that's on the bottom of the screen here, and let me know where you live, and or if you have a different type of property, you want me to do a report on that as well. Happy to do it. So let's jump right in. All right, we're going to talk about sales data here real quick, price data, I'm sorry. And so just want to let you know, so I'm doing a 5-month, I kind of do a 5-month history. I look at median and average. Now I know my mathematician friends are going to go crazy and they're going to say, oh my gosh, why are you doing average? Just do the median. And the reason is because with the low inventory, the data set is really small, okay? And so we're really not getting an accurate reflection of what that median is. And you'll see it jumps all over the place here. So let's just jump right into it. So June, we had a median of 920 and an average of 917. In July, 870, so it went down, but the average went up. So this is what I'm talking about. August, you had 925 for the median, and you had 949 for the average. And in September, you had 945 for the median and 931. So that went down. The average, or the median went up, the average went down, right? So, but it kind of still gives you a kind of overall picture of where we're at as far as the value of homes in the 92780 zip code. In October, however, it dropped back down. So we were in 920, 870. Drop back down here. However, the average, look at that average, 1,075,000 is the average sale in October of 2021. That's incredible. So that's a good thing. I'm going to give it a green arrow up, and come on, green arrow. There we go. We've got a green arrow up. That means it's in favor of you, the homeowner, if you are, whether you're planning on selling or not. It's just good to know that, okay, gosh, things are still looking really good for us, okay? Let's move into the sold percentage of list price. So basically, when somebody lists the price, how much more or less are people paying for that house when they make an offer on it? And when we're looking at this number, we're looking at June, which was kind of our peak. It peaked out at 104.9%. So in other words, people are paying 4.9% more than what the original list price is. And this is important to understand because a lot of people have a misconception right now in this market. They go, gosh, I've got an $850,000 house. I know, let's just put it on the market for $1.2 million. Let's see what happens. Well, people are not paying that much over the actual market value of the property or the list price. So people in this who are getting this are using actually a really good pricing strategy. And as we go through the rest of the year, we're looking at 104.4, 104.1, 104.2, and in October 104. I'm going to call this a wash. No real trend up or down on the overbids, if you will, on the properties in Tustin, but this does give me a good indicator that people are using really good pricing strategies. They're putting it at market value and letting the buyers kind of haggle over it to get the maximum value out of it instead of overpricing and trying to convince people to, give us an offer and we'll see what we can do kind of thing. So let's look at price per square footage sold. So price per square footage sold is another good indicator of what kind of the trends are. And again, we're looking at average because we don't have, the data is, when we do the median, it is so all over the place. It's crazy. Just because we don't have enough numbers. In June, we're at 496. We're at 544. In July, 550. In August is where we kind of peaked out there. And in September, it's 474. October 535. So again, I'm going to kind of call this a wash. I know it's kind of a little, it drops down to 474 here, but if you look, we're kind of hanging out in the mid fives for the most part as far as cost per square footage. It's a good starting point just to kind of get an idea. Now there's so many factors involved in pricing your home other than just, hey, well, average square footage sold is 535. So many other factors. So don't just base it solely on that, but it's kind of a good starting point. You go, oh, if it's 535 and my house is in good condition, it's in a good location, doesn't have any detrimental factors around it, okay, might be a good starting point to look at that. But of course, we can help out with that as well. Let's look at sales data. By the way, if you would like, go over to the official Rustin and Tustin YouTube channel and subscribe there. By the way, in the city of Tustin, 92780, there's 7,707 total single-family residences, and there's 1,985 condos in the 92780 zip code. I want you to remember those numbers because some of the numbers that I'm going to show you is going to blow you away. Let's take a look at new listings. So new listings that came on the market. Again, remember, 7,700 total listings. Yet in June, we only had 16 listings, okay? In July, we had 19. In August, we had 23 whole listings come on the market. This is nothing, folks. This is really, I mean, very, very little as far as listings go. September, we had 19 listings, and in October, 12 listings. 12 listings. I mean, that's like one half, less than, I think it's less than 1/2 of 1% of all the homes that are in the market. Put perspective on this. I remember way back in the day when I first started doing this, 1997, we were told that what would be considered a normal market was anything, it was 10% of the market is for sale at any given time, right? So in that case, that would mean 700 homes would be for sale right now, but we've only got 12 new listings. Now, this isn't the total listings available right now, but what it is just the new listings that came on the market during those months, but still crazy, crazy low. We hear about low inventory all the time. I've been asked, why was there like a little bump here? We had 19, 23, 19, right? When we're at 12 and 16 on the other ends. Remember September 14th, we had a recall election, and I think a lot of people were kind of going, either they're going, well, we're getting out of here before that happens because we don't know what's going to happen. They're just kind of doing speculating, and they just decided to sell their house. So that could have been a factor. Could be other things as well. And so that I'm going to give it a good solid green arrow up because it means very, very low competition for homeowners who are thinking about selling their house in the 92780 zip code. Let's look at days on market. Again, average days on market, 12 days, 9 days, 10 days, 6 days. And in October, we had 13 days. Now, again, just giving it a wash, it's very, very little as far as days on market. And it's fairly consistent. We had the drop in September of 6 days, but I don't see anything here giving me a trend as far as days going up. We do have 13 days in October, so we're going to keep an eye on that. We're going to see what's going to happen coming up in the next few months to see if that trend decides to increase. But this is something that's important for homeowners who are thinking of selling, because what this means, days on market, is it doesn't mean just, boy, we sold our house and we're moving out in 12 days. No, what it means is it took 12 days or 9 days or 10 days to actually get a viable offer and then go through the escrow process. So that's another 30 to 45 days, give or take, okay? So just understand what that means. So you can expect that your house is going to sell within, 1 to 2 weeks. I know everybody's saying, oh my gosh, we just put our house on the market and it's sold in an hour, right? But that's kind of not what the numbers are showing us here. Now, this is something that's very interesting, and I don't think people really understand or realize that this is an issue, and it is a big issue. Fell out of escrow. How many homes came on the market and fell out of escrow? In June, of the 16 homes, 6 of them accepted an offer and then fell out of escrow. That's 37%. That's pretty crazy. But then now look at July. 10 out of the 19 homes that were listed accepted an offer, fell out of escrow, 52%. We've got in August, 47%. In September, 52%. And in October, 58% of the listings that came on the market that accepted an offer fell out of escrow. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't have a backup offer waiting for them when that fell out of escrow, but what it means is that they and their agent saw a great, or what they thought was going to be a great offer, accepted that offer, and then had to settle for a secondary offer. And there's lots of reasons why a house could fall out of escrow. Primary reasons or financing didn't work out. And most likely it's probably inspections. They did their inspections and they said, hey, you know, we found all these things, we want to work it out. And sellers are kind of standing their ground going, no, you just take it as is, like it or not. Then the buyers are going, okay, well, you know, we're not buying that. But I'm going to tell you something, there is a way to avoid this. If you're thinking about selling, there is a way to avoid going through that process of accepting an offer and then falling out of escrow. And if you think it's not a big deal, it kind of is a big deal, because there's a whole other set of disclosure issues and things like that that happen after a property falls out of escrow, if it's done right. Okay, so just keep those numbers in mind. And as a result, I'm giving it a big red arrow down. This is not a good thing for sellers. It's not at all. So, you know, we'll keep an eye on that as well going forward. Let me tell you something. If as an agent since 1997, if I had 37% of all the listings that I took fall out of escrow, I wouldn't be in this business anymore. So why is this happening? It's just it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. So let's go on to closed sales. Let's look at closed sales now. So in June, we had 21 closed sales. In July, 18 closed sales. In August, 17, 18 in September, and 14 in October. Okay, so what I'm gonna give this a green arrow up. It's in favor of the homeowner because there's more homes closing than there are that are coming into the market. So that's keeping the inventory really low, which is in favor of you, the homeowner, to help keep the demand and the values up. Now for months supply. What months supply means, if not a single new listing came on the market, was put into the MLS or made available forever, right? Just no more houses could be sold other than what's already existing. How long would it take to sell that existing inventory? And if you take a look at this, it's 0.8 months. To give you some perspective, what's that 0.8 months? It's about 24 days. Okay, and all the homes would be sold. That would be it. That would be done. Okay, 21 days roughly, or 0.7 months. So you can see the inventory is really, really low again, and just it would basically evaporate quickly if no new listings. And this is a good gauge to know just kind of what the trend of the market is, because as that number goes up, then you start going, oh my gosh, now there's more competition. There's a lot of competition. I've got to avoid all that. Okay, so we're good for now. I've given it a wash. Not that it's not in the favor of the homeowner. It's in the favor of the homeowner for sure. But just because I don't see any big moves in the days on market and the months on market. I'm sorry, months supply. And so we're just going to kind of call it a wash on that one. Okay, let's talk about predictions for the 92780 zip code for houses. And hold on, you're going to enjoy these predictions I'm about to give you, but what I'm about to tell you is even better. Everybody knows that when you're selling a house in tip-top condition, you're always going to get a much higher sales price and more profit. But did you also know that there is a way to do all the repairs and rehab, no matter how big or small, with no upfront cost? Let me show you how. It's important to understand that most buyers, when they buy a house, they're buying at the top of their available price range. And so if the median home sale price in Orange County, we'll call it $1 million. We know it's higher than that, but we'll call it, if the median is $1 million and your house is in disrepair, what will end up happening is that at least 2/3 of those buyers, if these were all the buyers in Orange County, would go away. They would disappear. And so now this is all the buyers that you're left with, because most buyers, like I said, buy at the top of their price range, and that usually means that they don't have an extra $50,000 or $150,000 laying around to completely rehab a house that they just bought, that now they're going to have to wait weeks or even longer to get into the house, and increasing their expenses even further. And even if they did have that money, they probably want to spend it on furniture and decor for their new home to make it their own, right? And of the ones who would still consider a house that's in disrepair or a fixer-up or something like that, you could even take away a good part of those, because what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to go, you know what, we're probably just going to pass on this one because, same reason. The money that's going to come out of their pocket afterwards, unless they're getting a really, really, really good deal. And so then what's left is you have investors. You have investor buyers, or people who are looking to take your house at a really low price, who are willing to do all those repairs after the fact. And as a result, you have fewer buyers interested in your house, who are going to get you a whole lot less money and less profit in your pocket, and you're going to walk away disappointed. But you can have all these repairs done, and have it done with no upfront cost whatsoever, and get you a whole lot more profit. This is an actual real world case study. These are both real houses. They just so happen to be right next door to each other. They both came on the market at exactly the same time, and they both featured similar qualities, so they were very comparable. House A was asking $1,180,000, which they reduced from $1,225,000. House B was asking $1,525,000, which they increased from $1,475,000. House A was not rehabbed at all. It was in good shape and it was well maintained, but it was very outdated. House B was fully rehabbed. House A took 35 days to sell. House B took 2 days to sell. House A sold at $424.16 per square foot. House B sold at $533.96 per square foot. House A had 5 bedrooms and a 3-car garage. House B only had a 4 bedrooms and 2-car garage. House A was even offering more commission to the agent than House B. Now, if we just make some assumptions about the loan balance of being 0 on each one, so we can just get a same net proceeds, and the rehab cost on House A was 0 because they did no rehab. House B, they spent about $150,000. House A, the closing costs estimate is about 1% for Orange County. Same thing with House B. So their closing costs would have been about $11,800, which is less than House B. House A, if they listed with us, would be 1% on the listing side, or $11,800. House B, the listing side, would have been about $15,250. House A, if they're paying a 2.5% buyer side, it'd be $29,500. House B, if they were paying a 2.5% buyer side, which we know they only paid 2%, but if they were paying 2.5%, would have been $38,125, so much more than House A. Yet the proceeds on House A were $1,126,900. Yet the proceeds on House B was $1,306,375. For a difference of $179,475. With the 0 upfront cost to rehab your house, there are no hidden fees, there's no interest, there's no income required, and there's no credit checks. So the evidence is clear that rehabbing your house before you sell it will put more money in your pocket. So if you'd like to get a free, no pressure, no obligation walkthrough of your house, where I can tell you how much more profit you would make when you sell your house by doing certain repairs with no upfront cost, then just call the number that's on the screen or visit the link that's on the page and put in your information, and I will be happy to come and visit with you and just hang out and just share with you what I can. Let's get back to the predictions. Okay, let's talk about predictions for the 92780 zip code for houses. And I am gonna, normally I just call, with all those numbers and the stats that we just looked at, I would normally just call it a green flag. I'd be like, you know, good to go. Let's, you know, we're good. No big issues to be concerned about. But I'm actually throwing up a yellow flag alert on this one. Not because of that data, but because of some information that just came out very recently that to me is throwing up a big red flag, but we got to see what the real effect is going to be on it. So just to recap, negatives, very slight increase in days on market and months supply, very just little. So not really a negative, but the abnormal number of homes that fell out of escrow is crazy. That is just crazy. And that also kind of tells you about the mindset of the buyer right now too. So we got to keep an eye on that for sure. The positives, obviously, the average sales price up $1,075,000 for single family homes in 92780 zip code. That's pretty incredible. New listings, very few, so low competition. The month supply, again, low inventory. So those are positive and good for the homeowner. But here's some things that came out. So very recently, there was this article that came out from the Mortgage Bankers Association. Mortgage Bankers Association is a very reputable association, unlike a lot of other associations that fluff things up to put things in the advantage of the association member as opposed to the audience reading it. Mortgage Bankers Association is known for, they lay it out for what it is, okay? And it's not anything staggering that they've talked about, but what they said was, and this was I think the third week of October is when they put this report out, that they expect that rates will increase to 4.0% by the end of 2022. Okay, gosh, well, that's almost a whole year away, the end of 2022, but it doesn't say when in 2022 that the rate will go up to 4%. And it's important to note, not because this is going to affect you right at this very moment, but it's important to note because for every 1% that a property or that the interest rate goes up, it wipes out about $60,000 in affordability for the typical buyer. So if you've got that $1 million house and you go, gosh, we're gonna sell it for $1 million and, you know, get out of here, then that person who was looking at your $1 million house now can only afford a $940 house, right? So then they're out. And then the people who were looking at the $1,060,000 house are now having to kind of downgrade to your house, which is only $1 million house, for whatever reason. And they might see that as settling, right? They're just like, oh, we have to do this. We were looking at this, but now we're you know, going to have to buy this because that's all we can afford. And what happens in most markets when the rates go up is the buyers they just step off to the side for a while and wait till things kind of normalize again. And so then that turns it so that the demand is less and suddenly supply starts to grow. So you want to keep an eye on those rates. Nothing critical right at this particular moment. However, there was this big red flag that just popped up in my newsfeed. I'm sure you have heard this story because it's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. This was November 1st. Tough day as Zillow announces 25% of workforce will be laid off of their home buying business will end. They're not buying any more homes. Really important to understand. And again, to me, this is a huge red flag. And it also factors in the fact that they said that they're going to sell 7,000 of the homes that they own right away. If you read between the lines on these articles, and there's a whole bunch of articles, you can kind of get the feel that they're talking about dumping these properties. Okay, they want them off their books. Why is this a big red flag? Well, if you take a look at Zillow, first of all, look at their business model. Their business model is go out, buy homes, buy them for pennies on the dollars, usually 60, 70% of the current market value. They put some paint, they do a little refresh, they fix it up, whatever it is, and then turn around and sell it for a profit, right? That's the typical investment buyer strategy. Well, they have said, we're not doing that anymore. We are not buying homes anymore. Why would they stop buying homes if it was profitable? Okay. Also understand that Zillow is probably one of the largest I mean, if not the largest data aggregator for the entire real estate space. Okay, they have so much data, it is just crazy. So what did they hear? What did they know? What are they seeing that says, whoa, 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 stop buying real estate? Is it because something is going to change? We don't know. But if you got all these guys in there crunching numbers and that's what they're telling, it's kind of what throws up a red flag for me. Because in the articles it says, well, their decision was based on poor Q3 earnings report statement. Yeah, right. Because again, if it was going to be profitable, then why would they just, abandon this whole division, put 2,000 people out of work, and talk about, we got to dump these properties? Now, what they're going to do is they're probably going to try and sell a lot of these properties to other investors, okay, who want to buy them and flip them. And so they're not going to get a lot of profit out of it. They're probably going to just, buy it for what we bought it for, maybe get a few bucks out of it, but not like what they had planned. And so the other reason why this is important to understand too is because if they start dumping 7,000 homes into the area, or just even nationwide, if you take a look at, again, the number of listings that came on the market, what was it, October was 12? If all they do is drop another, 6 homes into the area, now our inventory has gone up 50%. Do other people who are not aware of the stories and things like that, do they see that and they go, oh my gosh, inventory is going up, which again, those numbers are so low. People probably wouldn't react to that too much in the beginning. But as they start hearing that, oh my gosh, more and more homes are coming on, we better get our house on the market now too, increasing competition. So something to really keep an eye out on right now. Is Zillow saying stop buying homes? Who else is going to take that and think the same? And of course, you got articles like this. Everywhere. Should you prepare for a housing market crash? It says 2021. I think they meant 2022. But should you prepare for a housing market crash? They're all over the place. So the media is planting the seed that, hey, there's probably going to be a market crash. And then one of the best headlines that I've ever seen regarding the subject, this is great. No one seems worried about a housing bubble, just like the last time the bubble burst. Okay, if you think about that, you just read that, you go, you know what, that's pretty funny, because it's true. The last time the bubble burst, 2007, 8, right, whatever, there were people who were up to the day that it happened, were going, this is never going to end. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be great, right? Regardless of even the little warning signs that started to appear leading up to it. And so people were just kept going. And as you know, a lot of people lost their shirts, okay? So the CNN Business is kind of trying to say, hey, people aren't worried about it, just like last time before it all exploded, and so if these are the articles that are being put out all the time, every single day I see these, does it start putting it in the minds of people that, oh my gosh, does it start putting in the minds of buyers where they go, oh my gosh, I've got to, maybe hold off on buying. Okay, so think about that. And finally, we still don't know what the effects of the mortgage and eviction moratoria coming to an end will have in the real estate space. We don't know what those effects are going to be yet. We know that they just came to an end essentially recently, and the state has said, hey, we're going to help renters catch up on their payments. We're going to help landlords catch up on their back mortgage payments and things like that if they're behind. Yet, at least last time I looked, none of that has happened yet. Okay, so if it has happened for you, if you've gotten money from the state to help with that, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear about that and know that it's actually happening, because I haven't seen it, I haven't heard it. But the mortgage moratoriums too, if you take a look at the mortgage eviction or foreclosure process, the minimum number of days is 121 days for a foreclosure to go through the process. So we're talking about 4 months for the foreclosure process. However, something interesting I believe is going to happen with foreclosures. Earlier this year, I want to say it was June, maybe July, the CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, put out a notice to all lenders. Lenders, you better help out these homeowners. Do everything in your power to help these homeowners, because if you don't, you're going to get massive fines. And if you don't know what the CFPB is, they are the long arm of the law when it comes to lending and finance and things like that. And they can impose multi-million dollar fines to these organizations, to these companies. So what I believe is going to happen, unlike 2008 where people stopped making payments because they couldn't, the banks just started going, foreclosure, 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 right? What you've got now is you've got everybody else kind of looking at each other. They don't want to be the first one to step out, or I believe that they're not going to want to be the first one to step out and be the big, hey, we're the big bad wolf and we're going to start throwing all these foreclosures out. They might throw a few out and then see that the other banks do, and then the other banks start throwing them out, and they're kind of looking at each other going, okay, you're putting some out, okay, we're putting some out, and slowly, gradually get those foreclosures in place. We know it's going to happen. I can say that with a fairly high level of confidence because a lot of people took the forbearances. A lot of people couldn't get back to the same income level that they were in before they did it. The banks are trying to work things out, possibly with loan modifications, and get them to work out some sort of payment arrangement. But if they can't, they just can't. That's all there is to it, right? So we just don't know what those effects are going to be. We need to keep an eye out on those. But for right now, in the 92780 zip code for Tustin single-family residences, things are looking pretty good right now. If you're thinking about selling your house, give us a call. We are always available. Just give us a call. Been doing this for a long time, and happy to help out. No obligation, no cost, whatever. Just to have a chat. So we will talk to you in the next report that we do. Take care.